Did you know that your body is essentially the only resistance you have in this world? It's the only one thing that's yours that allows you to exist here with us on this plane of existence. And that even if you don't believe that your brain is connected to your body and your spirit in the same way that I do, I know you know that your body houses whatever it is that makes you think. And I think about the body as being the only resistance we have to capitalism, because it is the thing that capitalism wants from us. It wants the labor, it wants the body, it wants the sacrifice, right? It wants us to be so insecure about how we look and what we think and feel so that we don't share it, so that we don't have a common understanding of what the physical suffering in our lives is in a common way. And it also doesn't want us to be sensually and sexually it doesn't want us to explore our bodies in those ways, because in those ways it can't control us. Your body, even if you think it's some like meat sack that's carrying around your very intelligent little primate brain, even if that's how you view your like mind-body connection, there's no denying that the will and the spirit is connected to both of those things. If you think of them as being the same thing or not, we still know that this body is the vessel that carries that thing, whether it's a metaphysical concept or whether it is like a real brain impulses are just sort of controlling this thing. It's housing our consciousness. The idea that you can control the way someone experiences their body means you can control the way that people feel like their bodies can be used and viewed and objectified, and that serves the purposes of capitalism, of course. And so then, your body being the only resistance, I like to think about like the ways that doesn't feel violent for me. Like, it doesn't feel like having to put my body on the front line every day. And I think about the resistance there is in self-love and in choosing to use the body for the purposes that bring its host most joy and love and helps them to connect more, perhaps even with the bodies of others. And I want people to recognize how much power there is in that, in recognizing that you are a physical being and that everything has to come through you. Like, you're literally covered in one of the biggest organs, which is this skin that I am just absolutely covering in makeup. I didn't realize how thick that was and how untinted that is. But my philosophy around the body has been that it has been the thing that I've felt has oppressed me the most. And truly that's just that society has oppressed my body in a really obvious way, because I have a lot of other privileges in being like a white woman, that the most obvious way at which that is clear to me was through how my body's been objectified. And one of the biggest things, one of the strongest challenges I had to accept was that is exactly how I had to lean into the resistance of that thing. I can't, it's very difficult to accept that the very task that is appointed to you as somebody in this human body is to resist through the exact way that you were taught not to. And that is exactly the reason why I suggest everyone takes a bunch of nudes of themselves all the time, if that is what you're afraid to do. Because therein lies your liberation. Recognizing that your body is the harmless one, not the harm that's been done to it, not the harm it has been, the lens that it has been viewed through, that it isn't the body that's actually the harmful thing. Get used to that idea that your body is the resistance, that your fear of sinking into your bodily experience stems exactly from the trauma that we have experienced through the current system. Why would the current system hold the key then to the liberation of the very thing it doesn't want you liberating? So, body as resistance is a very physical thing too, because I think there's also a responsibility for some people who have more physical privilege, and I mean people like me, to put their bodies between those that might incur more harm based on lesser privileges in society. And the other is that my body stands between me only. That it's between me and God, what this body is and how it operates, and obviously my ancestors and all of that, but only as much permission and access as I give them. And honestly, this is the only way I know how to do this. It's the only way I know how to do it because it's the way I was harmed. And I think that a lot of people forget the reason why something was so harmful a lot of the time is because there is a seed of hope or desire in that place. For example, I am very in tune with my body in a way that I cannot go on in this world and not express through my body. And because that has been condemned in me throughout my whole life, I know that it's exactly where the medicine lies for me, because I know the desire exists there. I know the desire to be seen and to be validated on a physical level has far less to do with what capitalism told me it was, how it's made me feel about wanting to do that. I have all my own internalized misogyny to deal with. But for me, I know the desire existed in that place. The desire existed for me to physically express myself. And so, in that knowing, I know that the only thing that can't be taken away from me again is that knowledge, is the desire, the knowledge that I have a desire for that thing and that it exists outside of the framework of what capitalism told me and what my earlier experiences, say for example as a young model, was. And so I feel a sense of duty to encourage people to tiptoe around those places. If you have desire to be seen and heard, even if the world has told you that you're doing that for validation, sit with that. Is it truly for validation? And if so, what the fuck is wrong with that? If you are in this world and you are expressing and you have a desire to be seen and heard, it is an absolutely human thing to want to be validated in that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be heard. There is nothing wrong, except me trying to do my fucking eyeliner in this camera. There is nothing wrong with wanting to express yourself in that way. And I resent the framework of the world that tells you that there is something wrong with wanting to be seen for who you are, seen for what you have to express. That is a lie. That is the lie they will try to kill you with. That is the lie they will choke you out slowly over your whole lifetime until you realize that the power was always in your hands to do something, to express yourself. And obviously, this is very contextual, but from my perspective, as somebody who has needed to express through their body, and in a time when I can recognize how that has oppressed me, and that is in no way exclusive to my experience, that we all, across genders, across age groups, across the world, we are and we live within systems that profit from us being disconnected from our only form of resistance. You're a person, and this body is capable of things. It's strong. It's weak at times. It is an absolutely miraculous thing that you are here, that you are in these bodies. Something special wants to come from this body. It might not be the same artistic output that I have. It might not be and stem from the same trauma that mine does, but it will come from your body. It doesn't just come from your mind. As an artist, I can tell you right now that there is no way that any artist will tell you that their things are purely ideas, that they haven't manufactured these things. That is the form, that is what art is in a lot of ways, is bringing something into a sense of material so that we can make sense of it in our material world. You are experiencing this world through your body, whether you are disconnected from, disconnected from your brain and your spirit, and there are these different entities. They're all connected to this because this is the only thing that you can use to sort out and pass out that information. This is your most valuable form of resistance. To protect your communities, to protect your ideals, your values, your morals. I resent the word morals, let's drop that, but like your sense of self is an important component in the material world. You are an important ingredient for this. And we need you. We need you. We need your story. We need to hear from your brain through your body. We need to know what your experience is, because we're living in a world that completely lacks empathy. So first, have empathy with yourself. Have empathy for the system that has oppressed you, whatever that system is, because I guarantee they're all going to be the same thing. White supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. These are the things that do oppress us, all of us, universally, except a very, very select few. You, as a human body, are vital, even to the capitalist system. Even if it uses and abuses you, it needs you. Think about that for a minute. You are essential. Your oppression is essential for their system. So therefore, you, who would be oppressed, is essential for their system. Imagine if you were able to take that mindset out and first consider your body a form of resistance to that thing. I don't have an answer for that. I have thoughts, but I don't have an answer for that. And all I have is the knowledge that my body is my resistance now. That in a world that would crush my spirit by any means necessary, that this is my resistance, because this is what it deems the most valuable. So to liberate this thing from the shackles personally, to decide to liberate myself personally, I'm taking myself out of the equation for that oppression. Not fully, because obviously we still live here, right? And there's so many people who are not going to have the freedom and autonomy to do that, because that's the nature of some people being oppressed more than others, and that is usually based on what the exterior body of that human looks like, what race they are. So with knowing that, and knowing that that oppression exists, and having the privilege at any point that you have, and not accessing that privilege to plant the seeds of hope about all of what your body can resist, and all of the joy it can contain, and all of the to go to our graves without giving our most, that is the most of ours personally to give, is in part an insult to those who do not have access. And I'm even thinking about ancestors of ours that have not had that privilege. Even me, as someone who I'm a first generation Australian, I have ancestry that comes from places where women are horribly oppressed, and where certain minority women are horribly oppressed from my lineage. So my sense of duty to them is ancestral, that I am breaking ancestral curses by accessing what it is that would have empowered them in a time that I can use it to empower myself. It's not going to look the same for everyone, and I don't think that it would be right for me to prescribe any way that that would look for any one person, but that I know that there are a lot out there like me who have experienced the body in a way that I have, in a similar way to me, and that do have a desire to claim that back, to take that back, to have the autonomy to make the choice about how they experience their joy, how they experience expression, and to use their bodies as a form of resistance to despair and to defeat. Because while we can still access joy, it still exists. While I can access my autonomy, it still exists. There is hope we're planting a seed of what we want the future to grow. And I want it to be my body to be completely inoffensive. And I want my body to not harm others. That's my baseline, is I don't want to cause harm to myself or others, period. And when that is the baseline for how I'm going to view this body of resistance, it's so simple. Because how could my body harm anyone else? Only if I harm myself. And I harm myself when I stay in structures that would happily exploit me, exploit my body or objectify it. So, if I have anything to say here, it is to say, I fucking love you. But also that you have something that you can give in the way of your body that doesn't require you to harm anyone or anything. And just to think about where that is and what that means for you specifically is what I would suggest. Consider how your body is harmless. How is your body harmless? Because I guarantee you it is harmless. It harms no one unless you harm yourself. Let's sit with that for a while. Anyway, I love you. Go and resist with thy bodies.